Welcome back to another video with your professor, Professor Fiske, as we discuss programming logic using Python. In this module, in this microlecture, what I would like to do is I would like to build off of the last module and discuss with you some important functions that'll make your life a lot easier when trying to use arrays/lists in Python. As I say in all my videos, please like and subscribe. It really helps me understand what content is actually helping you and what content you're interested in. Let's get started. So, we spoke about len in our last class. We dipped our toe into one of the functions that is actually extremely powerful within Python. But that's not the only one. Let's do some cost-benefit analysis to find out which ones might make sense to you from an efficiency perspective in your day-to-day. Now, this does not take away from the fact that you can use your own for loops to do the things that you would like to do in your arrays, or in your lists for that matter. You can use your for loops to do some filtering, you can use for loops to do actual searches and things of that nature, but there are some situations where life is a lot easier if you just use a built-in function. One built-in function that you can use is the sort function. So if I said sort makes, what would this do? And I don't know if maybe it's makes.sort. There it is. There we go. What does makes.sort do? Well, makes.sort, it'll turn around and it will sort this specific list/array in a ascending order. So what should happen is the actual system should sort these guys in alphabetical order. Or do they? So what is actually being sorted? What and how does this work? Let's see if I did this in the wrong order. Notice that nothing changed. Now, oh no, it did. It did in no alphabetical order. My apologies. So there's Chevy, Ford, Toyota is now last. Ram is now the second position. I apologize. I'm actually very tired. So this did what it was supposed to do. Normally, what I would run into in other languages is that it would sort this based on the hexadecimal value of each of these specific strings. But in Python, it actually sorted it in alphabetical order, which makes life a lot easier. When I tried to sort it before using .sort and then printing the sort, there's no output for that. So it returned null, or in Python, none. But once I did the sort and then print the array, I got the correct answer. And here it is, Chevy, Ford, Ram, Rivian, Toyota. The same is true if you use integers and floating point type. Another key function that you can use is type. What type am I looking at? So if I said type and I said makes, what do you think it's going to tell me? What is the type of makes? What is it? Well, if you said lists, oh, I said nothing apparently because I didn't print it. My apologies. Print. Let's print. If you said lists, let's try that one more time. There you go. It's a list. That's the type that we're looking at. Type of makes is list. If I wanted to add another item to this array after the array is initialized, which right now at 2, the array is initialized. The word initialize can be used for arrays and variables. What does that mean? That means that the array name or the list name is also associated with a value or values. So if I wanted to show that I'm looking at an array and then I wanted to say, hey, you know what? I want to show the array. And I said, okay, now I want to show the array after I append a value. So I can append Tesla. And let's print makes again. What's going to happen? Well, the first output of print is going to show everything but Tesla because Tesla's not in the original array, right? And then we appended the value of Tesla to the end of the array after the fact using the append function. And guess what? Now Tesla is a part of the array. We can also use the function extend. Now what extend does, all right, what extend does is it takes normally two lists, it smashes them together, and it extends the first list to a set of values. So if we said extend here, and then we said we have an array of Tesla, and I have an array of Chevy, Ford, Toyota, Ram, Rivian, Tesla. Oh, right. Nissan. What would happen? Well, my bet's on the first one's going to print the initialized variables, or the initialized array, and the second one's going to print the extended array. Now with the append function, I can add one value to the end of the array. But with the extend function, I can take two arrays and mash them together. I can also say index. Now, the index function is quite interesting because the index function, for my JavaScript folks, is similar to index of. Now, what does index do? What would index be? Index, remember I said that word search? We could theoretically search for something in the array. What do you think we're going to get back? Remember I said about indexing the array in the last microlecture? What are we going to get back? Well, what I should get back is the position of Ford in the array. I did not get that for some reason. Oh, that's right, because I'm not, I need this. I need to print that. Now that I'm printing it, I should get the key or the position that Ford is in. Ford is in the first position. Index gave me that position of Ford. In this specific analogy, you might be thinking, well, hold on, why do I care? But in the end, it's not a bad thing to know. Let's do a quick change, though. Let's do a numerical change. Let's say ascend, right? And then ascend list of ascending numbers equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And the 0 is first, because I'm not bad. All right, so we have that. Let's say list, of ascending numbers. And then I want to change this. All right, I want to change that. And this. And what I want to do is I want to find out what is the max value in list of ascending numbers. Once again, I can use my for loop to determine this, or I can just say max. And now what I'll get is I'll get a printout of this to show me what the numbers are, and then the biggest number that's in that array. And if you thought, well, how would I get the smallest number? It's as easy as using the min function. And once I use the min function, it should say 0 because 0 is the smallest number in the array. If I'm going too fast, please rewind. This microlecture is made in a way that allows you to see and review all the things I'm discussing. Okay, great. So now let's go back into something we talked about last class. How do I get the size of the array? How do I know how big the array is? Well, that's as easy as saying len. And what len will do is it'll tell me that there are 10 positions currently being filled in this array. That is how the len function works. Another function that's actually quite nice is the list function. Now, what is the list function? Well, when you look at, when we go back in our previous lectures, remember the function str? What was that function? That function casts other data types to a string. What about int? What does that do? Well, int casts other data types, if possible, to the data type integer. And float? What does float do? Well, it mirrors the first two. It takes a value of other data types and it casts that value to a float. So if that's the case, and this was an SAT question, what does list do? Well, list casts, all right, list casts all the values that we provide to it in the form of an array. So if I said, all right, if I said list, and then I gave it values. Oops. These are just values. These values only exist within the context of this set. All right? And right now, I think it doesn't like it because they're not strings. So let's go ahead and make them strings. You can use single or double quotes to define strings. I have 2 strings types, so let's try that. This should stop now. What is the problem? No overloads for int. Interesting. Why not? Is this because I need to give it more parentheses? Yes. Now what's wrong? Unnecessary tuple literal. Yeah, because you were upset. That's not going to work. That's going to cause issues. I have 3 of these guys, and I don't need 3 of them. I just need 2 plus that. If I, you know what would make this a lot easier? If I just said list of ascending numbers is now not an array, it's just a tuple. Like that. And if I took that tuple and I dumped it like this, now it's not mad anymore. But if I try to overload this with the numbers, it's completely upset. So what I did here is I took the array list of ascending numbers and I changed it from an array, and you can see these are no longer straight braces, they're now parentheses. This means a tuple, all right? For the sake of this conversation, just understand that a tuple is a set, just like an array is. It's just a bit different. It's a lot more flexible and easier to use. It's not as efficient. So if I wanted to convert this to an array because I really needed all these tuple positions to not exist as one complete numerical value, but as an array, it would need to look as such. And if I printed both of these, the tuple and the array, or the tuple and the list, this is what it would look like. You see the tuple looks this way and the array looks that way. I will not be getting into tuples in this specific lecture. That is an advanced Python concept. The last thing I want to go over is something that I think you guys are probably very interested in, and that's the function of filter. Ha. Yeah, you thought I was just going to skip right over that one? Nah. We'll do filter because I'm a nice guy. So let's say I wanted to filter a specific thing. Well, I would use the filter function. And what the filter function allows us to do is it allows us to not only create filters that, like, create a filter that is just a holistic, but we can also overload the filter function with data or the filter we care about. So, if I erased all of this, right, and we'll just say makes like that, I would need to create a function of some kind that I want to use as a filter. So I can say def, and I'm using an example from datacamp.com. So just to make this a lot easier, let's say I wanted to filter the price of something. Let me say, as long as the price is greater than 350, then return true. Else, return false. Right? We just want to get the value of the price when it's greater than 350. That and that. It's not necessary. Okay, great. So now let's do some writing. Item price, and we're gonna give this array some values. 230, 400, 450, 350, and 370. And then within this analogy, I can also say I want to apply the filter. Well, how would I do that? Well, I can say filter price equals the filter function, and then I'm going to, in the first parameter, let me show you what that looks like if the IntelliSense pops up. Oh, it doesn't. In the filter, there it is, in the first position, I can give this filter my filter, the filter that I want to apply. So I would say filter price, that is the function that I want to apply to this filter. And then I would say I want you to use that filter on this array, item price. And then what I want you to do is I want you to print the list of filtered price after you're done running those filters. And let's bring this back one. It's still upset about something. Return the condition directly. No, I don't really care about that. So what's going to happen? Well, what's going to print? Well, what should print is 400, 450, and 370 because those are all greater than 350. And survey says boom. Done. That ends this lecture. I'm so glad that I was able to discuss lists and functions. They're one of my favorite data structures to talk about. Arrays are literally the bane of everyone's existence because the what, when, where, why, and how is normally obfuscated in some implicit language that a person who's never used them before would ever know. So, I will tell you as my junior developers that arrays are not dangerous. They are not scary. They're one of the most misrepresented, misused, and misunderstood data types you could ever, or data structures and data types that you could ever use. Well, if you haven't liked or subscribed and this content was very impactful to you, please do so. And as I say in all of my videos, good luck, have fun, ciao.